the police getting the MRAPs, saying it's for the Second Amendment, it's for the veterans. And it looks like the Republicans, a lot of them actually get this and aren't backing down from the media ridiculing them. Chuck Norris has come out and said he trusts the military, but not those pulling the strings. I think this is healthy. Chuck Norris quoted Benjamin Franklin in his column at WND.com. Distrust and caution are the parents of security. Benjamin Franklin. And we're going to skip this network break so we have more time on Larry Pratt. Larry, what do you make of the overall militarization of police, the overall federalization, the TSA, when the feds themselves are basically more and more following UN scripts? I think it's healthy that, I mean, we heard Al Sharpton say, use the riots to federalize police. I mean, this is a federalization happening, and I think it's very healthy that a lot of the real libertarian, conservative, constitutionalist leaders are not throwing InfoWars under the bus. They're saying, no, it's reasonable to question this.
If Operation Jade Helm were being conducted under a President Paul or President Cruz or President Walker, three of the conservative frontrunners, I guess we could say, we might be watching to see what's happening, but we wouldn't have the same inability to accept what the administration is saying. This administration has not earned our trust. They have lied repeatedly. So even if what they're saying happens to be true, who's to know?
I mean, when have they told the truth?
Right. So God bless Governor Abbott, who said, okay, we'll take you at your word, but don't mind if I have the National Guard keeping an eye on you, reporting to me. Good for him. Well,
you're supposed to have the governor over the Guard, and the feds have tried to take that over and make it ceremonial now. To me, this is just the states and the people flexing their muscles.
Yeah, it's long overdue, but I'm glad it's happening now, better than never. And kudos to those who are questioning. And I don't know that any of these public officials have actually made any accusations that this is a nefarious plot. All they're saying is, hey, let's have a little bit of openness, Mr. President, transparency.
Well, that's what it is. I mean, the president is acting as a dictator more and more. Congress is letting him do it. And I think it might be too little too late. I mean, who knows what power grab he may pull. This shows a little bit of that old American instinct, like Ronald Reagan said, to trust but verify. And I mean, look, everybody knows, from Forbes to the Associated Press to Nightline, that they're training the military to take on vets and gun owners and saying we're the threat, not Al-Qaeda or ISIS. Everybody knows that, and guess why we know? They're busy claiming we don't like the military. It's the military that's telling us they're being given these missions. They don't like it.
The military still, from everything I can pick up, is substantially supportive of the Constitution. They respect the fact that they took an oath to uphold the Constitution, not to support Mein Führer, which they did in Nazi Germany, which they've done in totalitarian countries around the world. The oath is to a person rather than to a constitution. And we still have substantially, I think, police and military that take that seriously. And that's a saving grace. Obama's been very frustrated. We know that he's been cutting out leaders from the military. Actually, in one case, I read of a battlefield officer who was cashiered on the spot in Afghanistan, in the middle of a battle. He's told, you're out of here, bud. So that's what our dear leader is doing to try to neuter those constitutionally loyal officers in the military. But I think he's going to have a lot more neutering to do, hopefully. And
well, that's right. There's a battle for the heart and the soul of our republic, and at the heart of it's our military and our police. And the police have been given a lot of bad training. There are some bad cops, some bad departments. But overall, George Soros is funding this anti-cop movement to try to make social change and have an Arab, commie spring, whatever you want to call it. I mean, Al Gore said we need an Arab Spring here in America 3 years ago. George Soros is funding it. But it's a socialist spring to make reform about shooting cops in the head. No, that's not what reform is.
No, it's certainly not. And, you know, just before we run out of time, I just want to celebrate the unnamed officer in Garland, Texas. Here's a guy who faced with a couple of Muslim terrorists under fire from guys with rifles. And it's got to be his off-duty weapon because it's a Glock 45. I'm not aware that that's a police firearm in many departments anyway. So he pulls out his pistol. He obviously is able to perceive that hitting center of mass doesn't do anything because the terrorists are wearing body armor. So this guy is able to pop them in the head and stop them before they're able to kill anybody. Amazing. Only in America. If that had been in France,
there'd have been a 5-day manhunt, martial law. We never would have heard the end of it.
Right. And
what do you think of the anti-gunners? And just to be clear, when I meant Arab Spring, as I meant he wanted something like that here. He said a liberal spring, a black spring. The point is they want to get a classic communist civil war going.
What they don't understand is that a lot of the motivation for that spring, say in Egypt, was against Morsi, the Muslim dictator. And things quieted down when the pro-American military took over and put Morsi and his pal in jails. So these guys can't even read what's happening abroad correctly. They hope they can somehow ignite a Muslim flame to burn up the world, and our dear leader has been doing what he can toward that end. But so far, they were blocked big time in Egypt. And, you know, I'm not saying that the generals are a bunch of Republican small
But they did stop the blowing up of the churches and crucifying Christians upside down and letting people live in peace and letting tourists come to the country.
It's a whole lot better with them than without them. So,
Larry Pratt
of
Gun Owners
on the wrong side.
Larry Pratt of Gun Owners of America is here. How do people become members? How do people support the literal tip of the spear in the defense of human right to self-defense?
You can find us at gunowners.org, and even if you're not ready to join with a contribution today, do get on the email alert list, because that's how we have stopped anti-gun legislation, even when our friends at the NRA were supporting it. So it's a lot of action there. It's free, and it's very easy to use. And we would just urge strongly that hopefully most people can get on the internet, go to gunowners.org, go to that take action area on the site, and begin getting those alerts.
That's
because right. You'll find out what's going on, and we'll make it possible to do something effective about it.
Well, I've got a fighting spirit. You've got a fighting spirit. And I'm just sick of people thinking we're doomed. Every time we take action, we win. The problem is enough people aren't doing it. So everybody needs to go there and become a year member, a lifetime member. They need to sign up for the alerts. They need to put them on Facebook and Twitter and get them out to people, because we're going to start turning the tide against this tyranny. Professor Lott, Dr. Lott, thinks that's happening as well. The alternative is total enslavement. Larry Pratt of Gun Owners of America, thank you so much for the time.
Alex, thanks so much for letting me in front of your microphone.
Oh, you're awesome, sir. Thank you for the time. There goes Larry Pratt, ladies and gentlemen.